First Saturday in November. The first Saturday in November is coming up. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it as the third Saturday in October. Now, maybe because I'm a Vols fan, that's the case. But first Saturday in November is coming up. 2 weeks of NAIA football left to be played in the regular season. So thanks for being with us here on this Thursday night. It's our regular time to talk about football and preview the weekend ahead. There is the NAIA F-ball poll, a media poll from around the country. Shout out to Corey and the folks at NAIA F-ball. Wait, where'd it go? There it is. All right. We didn't want that to go away. I didn't want that to go away. Hopefully everything is fine there. Let's look ahead then to the week, which is ahead. And, well, let's see if we can get a graphic up here really quickly. I want to say a shout out to everyone who is watching, those of you who all have been watching and are becoming friends of the channel. And I really appreciate that. It's fun to get to visit with you all over the course of a week, whether it be a Thursday or a Sunday or whatever the case may be. So thanks for being friends of the channel. And we will try to get this first graphic up there. I know we can. There it is. So thank you very much. Please, as always, let us know from where you are watching tonight and what games are of importance to you. Maybe there's something that's a big time thing to you and you're excited about the game coming up. Let us know here. Well, I have a good idea which game Jake is excited about. Jake, thank you very much for being with us here on a Thursday night. Sorry we missed you last night. Church night for me too, but we got started just a little bit later on. So there we go. Fort Lauderdale 3-5, North American 1-8. This is one of a couple of one-win teams that we are a little bit more excited about the opportunity of this team winning. Now, I know we're going to talk about games that we'll say likely would be favored if Vegas had odds on NAIA games. I don't know one way or the other, but we're going to tell you who we pick, and we're taking the Stallions in this one at home. Fort Lauderdale schedule has been, well, not quite as tough as what North Americans has been, and this one's going to be in Houston. So we're going to go ahead and go with North American at home in this one and go from there. All right. I'm using my left hand tonight, so we'll see if we can get the graphics up there. Reinhardt, 6-2. Kentucky Christian, 1-8. And if you don't know the rule by now, let me tell you, we don't pick against Reinhardt anymore in 2023. The Eagles are continuing to roll. They have won 7 of 8 all-time in this series and the last 6 consecutive games. A 47-21 victory over Kentucky Christian last year. Reinhardt's won 5 straight games overall, 45-10 over Union a little bit earlier this season. Kentucky Christian lost to Bluefield. We are taking the Eagles in this one as they will continue to roll. And with a win, we'll wrap up the Appalachian Conference Championship and with it, an automatic bid to the playoffs. Let's move on along here. Pikeville, the Bears are 6-3. St. Andrews, 0-9. Pikeville, 2-0 all-time in this series. Won 55-28 the last time these two teams met. That was back in 2018, though. Pikeville defeated Point last week, 42-31, and the Bears have won 3 straight. St. Andrews lost to Cumberland, 62-15 last week, and the Knights have lost 13 consecutive games. We're taking Pikeville in this one. I think that's a pretty easy bet on that one. Not actually betting, but you know, the case may be. Union on the road at Bluefield. The Union Bulldogs 3-5. Bluefield Rams 4-4. The Rams are 9-4 all time in this series and have won 8 consecutive games. And this includes twice in 2022. Yes, we're on the first cough drop tonight. Maybe it's a one cough drop night. Union won 45-10, or excuse me, lost 45-10 to Reinhardt last week. Bluefield defeated Kentucky Christian. Bluefield is led by Nathan Hurstich, who is leading the NAIA in passing yards, 324.4 passing yards per game. Big game last week, and Hurstich just continues to roll. From his freshman season on, his passing yards just continue to set record after record for the program. Tops in the NAIA right now. We're taking Bluefield at home, favoring them in this one. Weber International, 2-6. Kaiser, 6-2. Kaiser 6-0 all-time in this series, won 38-13 last year. We expect them to go 7-0 all-time in this series. The defending national runners-up just continue to roll. Beat Ave Maria last week 54-7, have won 5 straight right now. And the Seahawks are 17-1 in the last 2 seasons against NAIA competition. The only loss being to Northwestern, and that was in the national championship game. Kaiser's led by Jaden Meisinger with 14 rushing touchdowns. That's good enough for 4th in the NAI. But Kaiser is one of those teams, and we'll talk about a few of those as the night goes on. There are just so many weapons. So many weapons. Meisinger is one of them. Again, 14 rushing touchdowns. We're taking Kaiser in this one. Ave Maria, 4-4 on the road at Warner, 3-5. Ave Maria, 6-4 all time, and has the nation's leading running back in Brian Steinke, who is rushing at a clip of 158.9 yards per game. That's, as we mentioned, tops in the NAIA. Held in check last week, but we expect him to get things rolling again. Rolling, rushing, however the case may be. We're picking Ave Maria on the road in this one. Point, 3-6 on the road at Faulkner. Faulkner's 5-0 all-time in this series, won 14-10 in 2022. Point lost to Pikeville last week. Faulkner lost to Bethel 60-0 last week. Shut down in just about every way imaginable. They've lost 5 straight. The Eagles are at home. They're 1-7 on the year, and we're picking Faulkner in this one to get the upset, mild upset over Point. Faulkner, we think, is going to win over Point this weekend to break that 5-game slide. Here's a team that's on a slide, and that is just to say the least. Madonna 0-9, not 0 for the entirety of the program, but pretty close. At Siena Heights. Siena Heights 5-3 this year. Siena Heights 3-0 all-time in this series, won 45-26 last year. Madonna has struggled, to say the least. Lost 67-0 to Concordia last week. Lost 28 consecutive games. And we think Siena Heights will continue the misery for the Crusaders this year. We're taking Siena Heights in this one. We're moving on through the show tonight. Again, thank you all for watching tonight from wherever you happen to be watching. We appreciate that. Jake Redcorn watching us from East Wichita. And a shout out to Jake, too. Thanks for being part of the program. Appreciate you, Jake. I missed you last night. Again, like I said, no, it was church night. Excuse me. And I'm actually getting my voice back, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's pretty cool. But again, let us know from where you're watching and the team that you're cheering for. Last night, we previewed teams that have the inside track to the NAIA playoffs. We'll talk about a few of those teams as the day goes, or the evening goes on. 4-3 this year for Southeastern, taking on a 6-3 St. Thomas team. And St. Thomas putting itself in a position for a playoff spot this year, even though the record won't be what it was last year. 9-2 in 2022, 9-2 in 2021. Did not get into the playoffs. St. Thomas has really, though, not backed away from the competition at all, and at home against a very tough Southeastern opponent, which, by the way, this is a conference game. They were going to play them anyway. Southeastern 4-2 all-time in this series, but St. Thomas won 20-13 last year in the 22 season finale. Thought that might be enough. A lot of folks thought that might be enough to get them into the playoffs last year. Didn't happen. Expanded playoff field this year. Southeastern lost to Florida Memorial last week. St. Thomas defeated Warner 73-12. Second consecutive game in which the Bobcats scored 73 points, led by Rontavious Farmer, among others. Farmer with 31.9 rushing yards per game. That's second in the NAIA. And with 18 rushing touchdowns. That's second in the NAIA as well. We're picking St. Thomas at home. Florida Memorial on the road, taking on Thomas. The Nighthawks are at home. The Nighthawks have one victory on the season this year in the first year of the program's existence. This is the first ever meeting between the two. Florida Memorial with a big win over Southeastern last week. We'll see if they can continue things at Thomas. We think they will. We're picking Florida Memorial in this one. And the Lions, we believe, have an outside shot at a playoff spot. A win on Saturday is what it's going to take to keep that alive. Then one of the bigger games of the weekend, and you might even look at it and say, hey, this is game of the year part 2. Last week, there was a game in the NAIA that had an 8-0 team taking on an 8-0 team. Northwestern, with a big victory, stopped Morningside's 75-game regular season win streak with a 34-20 victory. This is also a conference game right in the middle of the country. Marion, 8-0. Indiana Wesleyan, 8-0. We have both these teams making the playoffs regardless of the outcome here. But it's a big, big game. They're 2-2 all time in this series. Indiana Wesleyan won by a touchdown last year, 17-10. This is going to be the last time that these two teams meet in the Mid-States Mid-East Division, as Marion and St. Francis of Indiana are moving to the Midwest. Some changes in the Mid-States coming into next year. Defiance College moving down from Division III into the Mid-States Football Association in 2024. Changes, we'll continue to talk about those as we go along. But for 2023, this is a huge matchup. For Marion, you have Zach Bundelow, stellar quarterback. For Indiana Wesleyan, you have Xander Stokes, stellar quarterback. Marion is giving up just 12.4 points per game. That's tied for third in the NAIA, coming off a big victory over Taylor. And by the way, Taylor surprisingly put 20 points on the board last week. Indiana Wesleyan with a big win over that St. Francis team we just talked about, 52-21. Maybe an X factor would be the running game. Indiana Wesleyan, led by Darian Williams, who's putting up 130.9 rushing yards per game, third in the NAI. We'll see if that's enough, if that Marion defense can counter this. A big, big game on Saturday for a conference championship, and realistically, an automatic bid on the line in this game. Let us know where you stand on this one. I'd love to hear about that one. It is going to be in Marion. Not at Marion, Mariin, but in Marion, Marion. And the Wildcats with the home field advantage. Don't know what the weather's going to be like. Would love to hear what the weather's going to be like. That last week was, it made a difference in so many games. Didn't make a difference in others, by the way. You were going to get a huge, huge, huge game in Orange City, no matter whether there was snow, rain, sleet, 80-mile-an-hour winds. It didn't matter. That was going to be a game. I think it's the same this week. We'll see how it turns out. We're taking cautiously Indiana Wesleyan in this one. So thank you very, very much. All right, Dave. Dave, thanks for watching tonight. Love the channel. Hey, Dave, I love having you guys on here. I appreciate it. More and more friends of the channel come on. We'll have to have my kids teach me about super stickers. Yes, please have your kids teach you about super stickers. And by the way, Dave, I have my kids teach me about a lot of things like that too. So that's okay. I'm enjoying learning. We have a Discord channel, by the way, a Discord server, and I know some of you all are on Discord. I enjoy getting on the NAI F-Ball Discord server and talking and watching and just being a part of the conversation there. And we have one now as well. And I was telling my kids about it, and they're like, "Really, Dad? You have a Discord?" Yes, I do, and I'm on the one with you all too. Oh yeah. So anyway, we're taking Indiana Wesleyan in that one. Did we mention that? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and be on record as saying, but it would be close, a very, very close game. We think it's going to be a huge, huge game, possibly game of the year, part 2. Taylor at Lawrence Tech, 2-7. Taylor at Lawrence Tech. Taylor 2-1 all time in this series. The Trojans scored 20 points against Marion last week, and again, that's big. And I know it doesn't matter who you have in second or third string, doesn't matter. That's still pretty big. Lawrence Tech has lost 6 straight. We think Taylor's going to make that 7 straight overall. Concordia. The Cardinals' season is a little bit disappointing. We still have them with an outside chance to make the playoffs. Not ruled out of this just yet. But the Cardinals need a win in the last 2 games. That includes this one and a big game against Indiana Wesleyan next week. So Concordia 6-2 has won 3 straight in this series, including 21-10 last year in the season finale. St. Francis 8-4 all time. And we're going to go with Concordia, a little bit more on the line in this one. On the road, the Cardinals, we're picking the Cardinals in this one, getting the victory over St. Francis. Let's stay here in the mid-states for just a little bit longer. Olivet Nazarene on the road at St. Xavier. These are two teams that you look at their record and say 5-3 and 5-3. And really, it's been that season. It just has. Olivet Nazarene's had some opportunities, defeated a tough St. Francis of Illinois team last week. St. Xavier defeated St. Ambrose, kept the Bees still without much fight, or with the zero in the win column there. We're going to take St. Xavier at home. Home court. I'm already thinking basketball. I'll tell you why, by the way, at the end. But home field advantage there for the Cougars. We're taking St. Xavier in this one. Graceland on the road at Culver Stockton. Graceland 4-5. This is not the season the Yellow Jackets expected. They expected a little bit more. Cade Ross was injured midway through last year. He's been healthy this year, but due to some events following a game, and by the way, I said it last night, I'm going to say it again. I've seen the tape. And that's really all I need to say about that. If you have seen the tape, I've seen the tape. And it's tough for Graceland to be without all of its players there, but they are. Cade Ross came back last week. Huge effort in a win. Put 6 touchdowns on the board with his arm. Culver Stockton struggling through the season. Graceland 39-21-1 all time. We think they're going to pick up their 40th win in this series. We're picking Graceland in this one. Georgetown at Cumberland's. Georgetown definitely has the inside track for a playoff berth in the Mid-South. 6-1. Georgetown has victories already over Bethel and already over Lindsey Wilson. Need to close out the season strong to go into the playoffs strong. We believe the Tigers are rolling right now. And even though Cumberland's 23-12 all time in this series and having won 6 straight in this series, we believe Georgetown is going to turn the tide just a little bit and pick up the victory in this one. The Tigers, again, just need to finish the season strong. Inside track definitely for a playoff spot. We're picking Georgetown in this one. All right. By the way, my dad was ambidextrous. I'm working left-handed tonight on these graphics, so bear with me if I'm a little bit slow getting to the comments. We're putting up the Mid-American Nazarene Missouri Valley graphic up there, and here we go. Elisa, do we have the Discord link posted somewhere? We did last week. I don't think it's in the comment section right now. I'll put that in the comment section following this broadcast tonight so that we could get some more conversation going. We'd love to get to visit with you all there. We can talk about football. We can talk about volleyball. We can talk about basketball as well. I know you're here tonight for football, but we just enjoy all sports here on Midwest Sportsnet. So, yes, we'll definitely get that in following tonight's broadcast. All right. Back to Mid-American Nazarene, Missouri Valley. The Pioneers are a team that I've seen the potential in from before the start of this season. Last year was a good team. This year, I think an even better team. Adrian Parsons, 4th in the NAIA, 279.2 passing yards per game. Missouri Valley leads the all-time series 24-19-1, but Mid-American Nazarene won a barn burner last year, 49-42, and the Pioneers still are in a position to be looking at a playoff spot in the top 25 NAIA ranking, not rating, and if they continue to do well, 2 more wins might move them up a little bit more. They would need to move up some in that ranking to really feel comfortable, but 2 wins here would be good. We talked about this last night. Pioneers need to get a victory tonight and then against Benedictine, which is a whole different game. That's next week. We'll talk about that more. We're picking the Pioneers in this one. Speaking of Benedictine, 7-2. The Ravens with a huge victory last week over the Baker Wildcats. That was a big win, puts them in the position to also be rolling in the Heart South. Baker has put a loss on Mid-American Nazarene. Benedictine's put a loss on Baker. Right now, Benedictine is smooth sailing if they just take care of business. First ever meeting against Missouri Baptist, we think it's going to come across as a Benedictine victory. We're picking the Ravens in this one. Over to the GPAC, Doane got a win last week. The Tigers into the win column. They're on the road at Concordia. Tigers own this series at about a 2-1 pace, 42-21-2 all time. And Doane won last year against Concordia, 12-10 in 2022. Concordia, by the way, DJ McGarvey, big-time quarterback. He's been able to find Austin Jablonski a number of times this year. Good enough for 109.6 yards per game, second in the NAIA. Also has 6 receiving touchdowns. We think Concordia has enough at home to pull off the victory in this one and turn things around. Concordia trying to get it back to 500 by the end of this season. Bethel, it just seems weird to have a 5-4 next to the Threshers, as that's the record for Bethel this year, but it is. Bethel on the road at Bethany. It is a tough Kessinger division. That's all we have to say. Bethel has won 4 straight in this, including a 42-7 victory last year. Bethany, however, big time advantage in the series record. This is the 81st meeting between these two teams. 52-28, Bethany with the all-time record. Bethany lost to Southwestern last week, 50-19. And Bethel with a goose egg last week, 43-0, just 3 quarters of play before it was called due to weather. Those friends that Jake is so fond of, my goodness, they put a hurt on Bethel last week. But the Threshers are not going to go to an even record this week anyway at all. As a matter of fact, we're picking Bethel to go ahead and lock up a winning season with a victory over Bethany this week. This one's a big one. It really, really is. And it's, you might say, well, it could be for second place in the league, and it could actually be that. We think Morningside is really putting itself to be in that number 2 spot behind Northwestern after the loss last week. Doesn't that sound strange? Morningside in a number 2 slot. Double digits in conference championships. I believe 12 straight conference championships. I could be wrong on that. Someone may correct me if you need to. It's all right. I can be corrected. But Morningside just continuing to show its dominance for more than a decade. Northwestern, if it gets 2 wins, will win the GPAC this year and change that little streak. However, Morningside coming off a loss, not a season-ending loss. Morningside 15-0 all-time in this series. 15-0 all-time in the series. Won 49-21 last year. Dort's defense continues to be strong, but it's going to have a tough order to get that offense going against a strong Morningside defense in Sioux City. We think Morningside, after having its 75-game regular season winning streak cut short, that they start a new one on Saturday. We're picking Morningside over Dort in a close game. Defenders hold this one close. And by the way, Dave, I know it had to be tough to see that this past weekend. When I say close, I don't take away from Morningside in that, because I think that the Mustangs would really like to come back out and show their strength. Dort's defense is it has shown itself to be strong this year. So, Dave, I'm sure you're going to be there for that one, a home game. Let us know. By the way, once we get the we'll put the Discord link in the comment section. But let us know how this one is. I think this one's going to be closer than what some people think. Would be not surprised with a Morningside win. We're picking Morningside in this one, but I think it's going to be closer than what some people might think. Anyway, but of course, Dave says go Stangs, so why not? Sterling 2-7, Avila 2-7. At the start of the year, I would not have had Avila at 2-7 right now. However, if Avila is able to win its last 2 games, it'll be 4-7, and I think I would have had Avila at 5 or 6 wins this year. It's tough to follow last season with a new coach. Coach Benavidez, who we'll talk about here a little bit later on, had things going really strong. I think Avila can get 2 more wins and can finish with 4 wins on the season. It's tough to see that 2-7 right now. Avila's 4-1 all time in the series, by the way. won by 30 in 2022 over Sterling. We think Avila is going to pick up the win. Midland at Hastings. Midland 6-4. The Warriors quietly have a winning season locked up. 6-4. Hastings at home 4-5. The Broncos are 41-30 all time in the series, but Midland has won 7 straight, including a 14-10 victory last year. We're picking Midland to get 8 straight in this one. Midland getting the win on Saturday. First Saturday in November. Thanks to everybody for watching tonight. Really appreciate you tuning in here on this Thursday night. It is a cool Thursday night. As Jake said, it was cold where he was. I think it's supposed to be a little bit warmer in all parts of the country, at least warmer, excuse me, than what it was last week at this time. And I think, well, I thought it was right there. Yeah, I think we're going to go to cough drop number 2 here tonight to close things out. I really tried. I've been praying for my voice. I talk a lot, as you might imagine, and I teach and I preach, and I'm on some very sports broadcasts as well. My wife, Mrs. Sportsnet, thinks I talk way too much, but at some point in time, you have to stop talking, and I've just been enjoying talking to you guys too much. So let me keep going for a little while longer. Who do we have? Baker and Central Methodist. Wildcats 6-2. Wildcats still in the hunt for a playoff spot. Still can put enough wins on there and could show up and be in a good position for a playoff spot. Need to be in the right place in the NAIA rankings, not ratings, though, when it's all said and done. And so Baker needs to get 2 wins. Why not against a Central Methodist team that has struggled in the last 2 years mightily? Baker won 28-0 last year and owns a 35-15 record all time in this series. Baker also coming off that loss to Benedictine, and the Wildcats want to get a win there as well. Number 1 team in the country taking on a tough Dakota Wesleyan team. Now, Dakota Wesleyan, you see the 6-3 up there. They played that tough part of the GPAC schedule, and this is no different. Even though they're at home, Northwestern has won 22 consecutive games and won 6 straight in this series. Northwestern has an incredible number of weapons. We don't see this winning streak stopping even there in South Dakota. We have Northwestern getting the win. Northwestern over Dakota Wesleyan, putting its 10th win on the schedule this season. Clark 2-7, Peru State 4-5. Peru State lost its first 4, then won its next 4, then had to play Grandview last week. Tough place to go if you want to pick up a 5th straight win. Did not happen for Peru State. We think they turn it around at home there in Peru. 4-5. They're going to move to 5-5. We're picking the Bobcats in this one. Briar Cliff 3-6. Jamestown 2-7. Jamestown's 3-2 all time in this series. And the Jimmies may not get a chance to play the series too many more times. Going to be moving to Division II very soon. Want to pick up the wins there as quickly as they can. Jamestown at home. We're picking Jamestown at home in this one. It's been a rough season for Jamestown this year. We think they have just enough to pick up that 3rd win of the season this year. All right, here is a big one. Playoff spot, not necessarily on the line, but one could be pretty much clinched with a win right here. Evangel 9-0. The Valor have won 10 consecutive games overall, one of the best starts in school history, and Evangel has just been rolling. It's been a good offense. It's been a strong defense, giving up just 12.4 points per game, tied for 3rd in the NAIA. That's a pretty good number. Evangel won 45-14 way back in 2014. That's the last time these two teams met. For many of the teams this year, Evangel's been playing this team from the KCAC for the first time, new to the league. 3-0 all-time against Southwestern. This one's in Winfield, and I think there'll be a really big crowd there as well because the Mound Builders have a chance still, I believe, to be looking outside chance for a playoff spot. But again, you need 2 more wins to do it, and you've got to pick up the victory at home here. So in a sense, this could be an elimination game from the perspective of a playoff spot. The Mound Builders need the win. Evangel just needs to keep rolling because this is a Valor team that would like to be like to be wearing a home jersey a little bit later on in the month of November and want to put themselves in a position to be right there. Remaining undefeated throughout the rest of the regular season could just do that for you. We're picking Evangel just because of a strong defense, not to take away from what Southwestern's been able to do at times this year on offense. This is a very tough Evangel defense. How about McPherson at Friends? Excuse me. There's that cough drop. McPherson at Friends. There is the matchup that Jake, I know, is excited about that. And hey, this is sort of a home game because it's going to be played in Wichita, but not really a home game. So I want to hear how this one turns out playing in Riverfront Stadium. This is the home field for the AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, the Wichita Wind Surge. And since we're speaking about Major League Baseball, or I'm just going to go ahead and transition to Major League Baseball, I have been a Texas Rangers fan all of my life. Have to tell you, it's pretty fun today to be a Texas Rangers fan because at times in my life, it was not fun to be a Texas Rangers fan when you knew that you were eliminated from contention for a playoff spot before the month of April was over. That's pretty much how it goes. Anyway, Friends, they're just too much Friends right now. The ground game continuing to roll. Cavante Baker leading the country in rushing touchdowns, and there we go. Been waiting for this one. Well, okay. Jake says, here, let me put this up here, by the way. Jake says the tailgate will still be at Adair Austin. Okay, well, just so you know, because I haven't made it to a Friends game this year because I'm telling you right now, Jake, the next Friends game I go to, whether it be a playoff spot, we'll see, or if it happens to be in 2024, I'm making the tailgate. So I want to know where the tailgate is because I've been out there. I've seen the tailgate a few times when I've been up there, but I've never stopped to go and take part. So if anyone is going to the tailgate, don't go to Riverfront for that. Go out, tailgate at Adair Austin, then go over to Riverfront and watch the game. This one should be a lot of fun. McPherson, led by Tristan Szabo, who has had a great year. You see it hasn't shown up all the time on the win column. McPherson needing one more win to lock up a winning season this year, and it's been tough once the Bulldogs have gotten into this Kessinger division. Friends, I believe, just like what I've said about a few other teams, still with an outside chance for a playoff spot. Number 27 in the latest NAIA ranking, not rating, and you need to be up there in that top 25 at the very least. I think you almost have to put yourself into the top 15. I know that sounds like a bit of a stretch. There will probably be one or two teams that get an at-large bid that aren't in the top 15. I wouldn't want to chance it. And this is where it is no longer on the field of play to make your presentation to make the playoffs. You've just got to be voted in, and that's where it is. So Friends, trying like Southwestern, like St. Thomas, like a number of other teams that are out there right now, like a Lindsey Wilson, probably looking to make some noise with the folks who are going to be voting and to get into that top 25 and even into the top 15. Now, of course, you have to take care of business on the field first. So the Falcons 7-2, Falcons 41-32 all time, but McPherson has won 5 consecutive games in this series. We think the Falcons put a stop to that personal 5-game slide, and we're picking Friends sort of at home in Wichita in this one over McPherson. It was fun to talk about. I enjoyed that one. Moving on along, let's talk about another team that's just rolling along. We talked about Evangel undefeated. How about this team undefeated? Grandview 8-0. Jackson Waring throwing at a clip of 70.7%, second in the NAIA in completion percentage. And look at this with Grandview. 46.1 points per game offense, third in the NAIA, giving up only 5.9 points per game. That's tops in the NAIA, 5.9. It's the only team in the country that's giving up only single digits. I realize I gave a decimal point there. let's round it up. 6 points per game. The only team in the country that's giving up single digits per game. Shut out Peru State last week, 45-0. This is where William Penn, and I was talking about Coach Benavidez there, new coach there in Oskaloosa. The game is going to be there in Oskaloosa. Grandview is 11-3 all time in the series. But Grandview's dominated of late. The scoring margin in the last 3 games alone, the Vikings have outscored the Statesmen 145-0. Grandview will continue its regular season winning streak with a win in this one. William Penn, by the way, William Penn's 3-0 in the Heart North. A victory in this game for the Statesmen and then a victory in the final game of the season, William Penn would get a playoff spot with a 6-4 record. You got to take care of business first. We're picking Grandview in this one to take care of business on its own. Let's move on along here. Go back to the mid-states for just a second. Judson's 0-7. St. Ambrose is 0-8. You know the rules. You know the rules here. The rules say someone has to win this game. Well, we look back on the series. No one has the lead there. It's 1-1 all time. St. Ambrose won last year, 58-22. Both these teams lost last week. St. Ambrose is at home. So we're picking Judson in this one. Picking the Eagles to pick up the first win of the season, and that's our pick there. All right, moving back to the KCAC. Kansas Wesleyan 7-2, Ottawa 5-4. Realistically, a playoff spot is on the line here, not an at-large bid. I don't see either of these two teams getting an at-large bid, and that's even with the 7-2 record there for the Coyotes. So one or the other is going to come away with a victory in this one. Both are 3-0 in KCAC Bissell Division play. Kansas Wesleyan defeated Tabor last week, 31-0, and the Coyotes have won 6 straight. Ottawa defeated Avila last week. By the way, for the first time in that series history, Ottawa defeated Avila, is now 1-5 all time against Avila. The Braves have won 4 straight. Coyotes have won 6 straight. Braves are at home. And I'm sorry to KC if you're watching this one right now, but I'm going to go ahead and pick Kansas Wesleyan getting the victory in this one. So we're officially picking Kansas Wesleyan. Braves have looked good. Wynton Ruth has looked good. We just think that there might be too much Coyote defense in this one to shut down Wynton Ruth. By the way, Kansas Wesleyan's won 8 straight in this series too. So one more KCAC game on the docket. Tabor 2-7, St. Mary 2-7. Tabor's 15-2 all time. St. Mary won by 15 last year. St. Mary lost to Sterling 31-30 and should not have lost that game. And we talked about this on Sunday. Realistically, the Spires did what they needed to do on the field, but just shot themselves in both feet repeatedly with penalties and other mistakes. Spires should have gotten that 3rd victory last week. We think they're going to do it at home this week. If they straighten things out, we'll be able to talk about that on Sunday. We're picking St. Mary in this one. Out to the frontier. Montana Tech 5-3. MSU Northern. The Lights are 1-7. Northern had the all-time record, 38-25 in this one, but Montana Tech won big time last year. Montana Tech defeated Arizona Christian by 9, 40-31. The Lights were held scoreless against Montana Western last week, and Montana State Northern has lost 7. We think that number goes to 8. I'm going to go with the Ore Diggers in this one. A couple more games from the Mid-South. How about Cumberland 4-4 at Lindsey Wilson? Lindsey Wilson has lost already to Georgetown. It would take a number of things happening for them to get the automatic bid. Blue Raiders looking to get an at-large bid, need to get 2 wins to do it. We think they're going to do it over Cumberland. Lindsey Wilson 7-4 all-time in the series, won 27-3 last year. It was a tough loss, 10-0 to Georgetown. I don't think Lindsey Wilson goes scoreless the rest of the season. Definitely will not do that at home against Cumberland. We're picking the Blue Raiders. How about Bethel? 8-1. The Wildcats are coming off a good season, rolling into this season well, led by Joaquin. By the way, this is going to be a matchup of 2 big quarterbacks, led by Joaquin Collazo, and Campbellsville, led by Jagger Gillis. two of the top five quarterbacks in the country in passing yards. Collazo with 278.2 per game. Gillis with 306.3 per game. Two of the top five passers in the country in touchdowns. Collazo with that would be a lot, wouldn't it? 27 this season. That's third in the country. And Gillis with 26. That's fourth in the country. Big, big game between the two. Here's where I think that it makes a difference. And the stats have been in the favor of the Wildcats all year. They have taken on very, very tough opponents in St. Thomas and in, let's see, was that Roosevelt as well? Yeah, defeated Roosevelt earlier as well. Very, very tough schedule. Bethel, 46.8 points per game. That's second in the NAIA, putting up 46 plus points a game. Here's the difference. Giving up only 13 points a game. It's going to be tough for Gillis to put points on the board, not to move the ball. We think that the Campbellsville will have a big, big day offensively. They'll be able to move the ball, put up the yards, but that the Bethel defense will shut things down once it gets to the red zone and it gets to be tight. We think this is going to be a tight game. Bethel comes away with a victory on the strength of its defense. Both of these two quarterbacks have a chance to really show out, but the strength of Bethel's defense is just a little bit too much. We're picking Bethel in this one to get its 9th win of the season. All right, Sooner Athletic Conference. We go to the Southwest in there. Hey, get back up there. Texas Wesleyan's 8-1 and has everything going its way to pick up a playoff spot. Needs to get 2 more wins. This one could be easier. I say easier. This one with maybe, let's start that again. The last 2 games of the season are tough. This one is on the road. With a win here, there's going to be more on the line next week, but the Rams need to get the victory in Langston. Langston's not an easy place to pick up a victory by any stretch of the imagination. Not at all. Again, I've been there a number of times. Love doing Midwest Sports Saturday from Langston. Langston's 4-1 all-time in this series. The only win in the series that Texas Wesleyan has had was last year, 53-28. Texas Wesleyan on the road. The Rams have won 4 straight. They won 4 straight to start the season, lost 1, have won 4 straight since then, put up 72 against Texas College. Langston is reeling coming off that loss at OUAZ last week, 68-27. The Lions are going to bow up on defense, but we believe the Rams have a little bit more, and again, playing for a little bit more this season. All right. Let's see. Casey was watching tonight. Yeah. We get up in there. Sorry about that, Casey. Going back to the Ottawa pick. Okay. And I'm sure you heard, Casey, I did take Kansas Wesleyan in this one. Sorry about that one. We just think that the Coyotes may have a little bit more. Would love to see something cool happen for Ottawa at home in that one. And I looked away from the chat for just a moment, and it's been big time. Dave says, take another way from Jake and friends, but Tailgate Row is pretty awesome at Morningside too. That would be fun. I have to tell you, Dave, and so many places that I want to get to go to. Wichita's the closest to me. I've been there a few times. Ottawa, I have actually been to the campus one time and would like to go back there again. Although Casey's new home right now, we're going to be doing a Midwest Sports Saturday next season from Casey's new home. We'll talk about that a little while later. But Sioux City is a place that I want to get to visit and do a show from sometime. No doubt about that. Let's throw this one in out here really quickly too. Casey, by the way, mentioning William Woods is talking about Casey's new home. Number 4, Langston and William Woods basketball at 10 a.m. before the Langston and Texas Wesleyan game. You know, I found out about that when I was up there doing the game at the start of the season, and actually I got the invite to come to that game because and they said, Joey, listen, we're going to have a basketball game, a men's basketball game at 10 a.m. prior to the football game on this game on November 4th. And I knew once November rolled around, it was going to be a challenge for me because the next 3 weekends are taken up, 2 of them with sports broadcasts, a soccer championship in the next weekend, and then volleyball championships the week after that. And I would have loved to have done that. And the funny thing they said they said, we thought of you about coming to this because this is right up your alley. And it totally is right up my alley to get to be a part of a men's basketball game and then a football game later that day on the same campus. William Woods, 3 hours away, Casey. I could probably make that, but I'm committed already on Saturday morning. But I like this one. We'll go ahead and we'll keep that one up there. Bringing Joey to the Woods. We are going to be there next year. We will be at the Woods, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But seriously, Dave, and I know we need to finish out. I'm just enjoying visiting with you all tonight. I intend to make Sioux City, and it's one of those things too that I'm bringing Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet because I've talked about Sioux City so much that I know she wants to go up there and see that as well. Back to the Sooner Athletic Conference for a minute. Did we pick? Yes, we did. Texas Wesleyan over Langston in that one. That's going to be close. And I do think that the Lions defense is going to bow up in this one because they just gave up too many points last week. Speaking of that, let's get back. And I mentioned my dad was ambidextrous. I've never felt like I was ambidextrous. Trying to be tonight. We have just a few more games here to go. Past the 45-minute mark. Thanks for everybody for watching tonight, too. I really appreciate that. Texas College 0-9. Wayland Baptist 2-6. We'll get straight to the point on this one. Wayland Baptist at home there in Plainview. We're picking the Pioneers to take the victory there. Oklahoma Panhandle at home against Sagu. Not been the season the Lions have wanted. And the Aggies, under new coach Corey Miller, this is a program that's turning things around. 4-4 right now and has all the signs of a program under a first-year head coach that is making some adjustments that you might see more of that progress in the next year or two to come. We're taking Oklahoma Panhandle at home in this one after shutting out North American last week. Let's go back to the North Star in what could be the swan song of the league. North Star, Mayville State 2-7, Dakota State 0-8. Both teams lost to Valley City State in the last time that they took to the field. We think Mayville State has enough after a 2-7 start to pick up its third victory of the season. We're taking Mayville State on the road. This one is a game with playoff implications. Valley City State, as we mentioned, defeated Mayville State 24-7 last time out. Dickinson State shut out Waldorf. The Blue Hawks have won 33 consecutive North Star games. Now, we've talked about a few streaks already. Blue Hawks have won 8 straight, I believe, North Star championships. It could be 9, but I believe it's 8 straight North Star championships, looking to win its 9th this year. In a position to do that, 7-1, playing at home, already played Valley City State this year one time, and won a little bit earlier this year. Yeah, 24-10, a little bit earlier this year. Valley City State's big player is on defense. Riley Gerhardt, 12.6 tackles per game, 11.5 sacks this season. Both of those lead the NAIA. Big numbers. Tackles, I believe, second in the NAIA. Valley City State, with a win here, still puts itself in a good position to possibly pick up a playoff spot. Dickinson State all but clinches with a win right here. We're taking the Blue Hawks at home in that one, and to win not only 34 consecutive conference games, but to win its 9th consecutive conference championship. All right. Before things go awry right here, where are we? I think things got moved around a little bit. That's what happened. Let's throw this out there. Centenary on the road at Arkansas Baptist. We think the records there are misleading. Centenary's played some very not tough competition. There we go. I like to be euphemistic, and I'm going to be euphemistic right there. Not as tough competition. Arkansas Baptist has played tougher competition this year. They're going to be at home. The Buffaloes, we're picking the Buffaloes at 1-8 over a team that is listed at 7-0. That's right. That's what we're doing. Picking the Buffaloes right there. All right. Moving on down. Let's see. We're almost done right here. Let's go on out back to the Frontier one more time and close out with the Frontier. Southern Oregon 4-4 on the year, taking on Eastern Oregon. Both of these teams have gotten better as the season has gone on. Southern Oregon 54-22-2 all time. And we think Southern Oregon is going to continue and get that 5th win of the season, put itself in a position for a winning record this year. Who'd have thought that earlier on? All right, this one is the big one in the Frontier. because College of Idaho is sitting at 8-1 right now. College of Idaho has defeated Montana Western this year, has defeated Carroll this year, sitting at 8-1, just watching this one because the Yotes are off this week. Montana Western defeated Northern last week, 44-0. The Bulldogs have won 6 straight. Carroll defeated Southern Oregon, coming off the loss to College of Idaho, having won 6 straight to start the season. Both teams have had a 6-game winning streak. Carroll has almost doubled up Montana Western all time. 75, 38, and 2 all time. Won 16-10 in 2022. Montana Western on the road. I'm going to go with Michael Palandri to Eli Norse. Norse leading the country with 113.6 receiving yards per game. I talked about Jack Perka and what he does. All he does is lead his team to win. You're not seeing just fantastic numbers from Jack Perka, but he just continues to lead his team to wins. Carroll got a big early season victory last year, and I think it threw Montana Western off. They're playing this game later in the season. We're going to take the Bulldogs on the road by 4. Get really specific there. By 4. We think it's going to be a 1-score game, and the Bulldogs are going to be on the road. And we also are saying if the over-under on this one were 50, we would take the under. So we'll see if it really is a Frontier game that shows up. Final game on the schedule tonight, Rocky Mountain 4-4, Arizona Christian 2-7. Raise your hand if you thought that Arizona Christian would be 2-7 at this point in the season. I'm going to go ahead and put my hand down. Absolutely did not see this coming. The Firestorm were met with a very, very rude greeting into the Frontier Conference. I mean, to tell you what, they got beat by OUAZ by 30 in an in-state rivalry game and then looked ahead to the conference to maybe turn things around. Did not happen. And Rocky Mountain on the road, I believe, is going to continue that misery for the Firestone as Rocky Mountain comes in. The Battling Bears make their first ever trip to Arizona Christian, first ever meeting between the two. We're taking the Battling Bears on the road. All right, that's it. That's it for the night. Hey, listen, if you're still watching, by the way, and thank you to everyone for watching and commenting, just being a part of the broadcast tonight. It was a lot of fun. We're going to make it in less than an hour. I want to remind you of one thing. I said at the beginning that I had a little bit of basketball on my mind. That is because tomorrow morning I get to interview an NAIA coaching legend. And so the video will be on the channel it'll definitely be on there before noon Central Time. So from wherever you're watching, be sure to tune in for this one. I get an NAIA coaching legend tomorrow, and I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled about the opportunity to visit with him. So I don't preview these things all the time, but I'm definitely doing this tomorrow. So that's on the docket for tomorrow. And then we may be on Saturday, for sure on Sunday night at our 9 o'clock Eastern. And at that point, it'll be Eastern Standard Time. That's right. Don't forget about changing the clocks. Daylight saving time. It's not savings. It's daylight saving time. Remember that this weekend. But 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And then, of course, from wherever you happen to be watching, if you're watching at 7 or 6, please be sure and tune in for that. But then tomorrow morning, a nice video for the summit, and then the weekend. Jake, it's a privilege. Dave, Casey, all of you, Alyssa, I will not forget to put the Discord link in the comments section. And let's see, anybody else on here tonight? No one that I see on there. Thank you all for watching tonight. It's always a privilege to get to visit with you. I never take this time for granted. I really, honestly don't. And I'm very, very thankful for your time. So God bless you all. Have a good rest of your Thursday night. First Saturday in November is on the way. And let's just enjoy watching some NAIA football, okay? God bless you all. Have a great night.